In 2006, it began with the Audi R8 V8, a mid-engine car that made history. Shortly after, the R8 V10 followed. More power, more sound, more emotion. Today, the R8 peaks. Technology and performance perfectly merged. A fitting farewell for its era. This car has been with our company for a remarkably long time now. And then there's the ABT XGT. Pure power, extreme design, maximum goosebumps. This is the Audi R8, a legend that excites us all. And perhaps the story isn't over yet.
Yes, and with that, a warm welcome to our Audi R8 special video. Guys, today everything revolves around this iconic vehicle, and for this occasion, we decided to bring out almost every single one of them. One unfortunately went flat on the way to the setup. You might know the R8 GTS. All the cars were set up here, they've been sitting for a while, and the battery just gave up. But you guys will still get to see it again later though. We've got a whole range of R8 models here, featuring different generations and various versions as well. What we don't have is the very first one with a V8, but I think we can already make a very good start here. This car is one that you'll definitely recognize if you've been around in the YouTube scene as long as I have. I think it was probably around 8 years ago. We filmed a video using this car back then. Unbelievably awesome car. The Audi R8 with a V10 engine, 525 horsepower. Not much has been changed or modified on this car. Back then, this was a car originally intended for event use. Still, we've added wheels to it, a slightly older wheel design from our collection. We've added that here, but everything else remains completely stock. It's got a stunning white finish, the sleek carbon trim, and then there's this rear end, which just ties it all together perfectly. And I have to say, for a car that's really quite old, it still manages to look absolutely timeless and stunning. Here you can see the oval tailpipes, which we've included here, all beautifully accented in black. The stunning view into the engine, where you can directly spot the V10, and now you can see here. The spoiler has been extended fully. I tell you, it was quite a spectacle to get the cars back now, but it can still drive in. Probably the battery is already dead again. But the real highlight for me in this vehicle, honestly, lies in its interior, because it features something truly unique and special. Check this out. This too is that kind of leather. It ages a bit, naturally showing some wear. Take a look at this steering wheel. You wouldn't believe it just seeing it like this, that it's from an R8.
Super basic, and you'll notice that a lot has changed over the years.
Otherwise, we have a checkerboard quilting in here. But even back then, just take a look. The entire door handle and all the trim here is fully carbon, so that's something worth noting. You don't see that all too often in cars of this price range, where there's really so much decoration, even here in the interior. It's all full leather, and even the headliner is completely made of Alcantara, giving it a truly premium feel throughout. But my personal highlight, and for that, I'd say go over to the other side. Right there in the center of the car is the gear shift, folks. This car is still a genuine manual transmission, no doubt about it. And this one here, it seriously packs a punch, so you've really got to slam those gears into place with some force. You've got a really awesome pattern in there. You practically feel it every single time you shift, that satisfying click-click sound, you know? So that sound and then those short, precise shifts, absolutely gigantic. I truly love that particular feature of the vehicle. And I'd say, let's fire it up now and take a moment to really hear how it sounds. Alright guys, I think we're definitely wide awake by now. Amazing car, I've truly got some wonderful memories with it. But now we're moving on to something even more special. This here is the ABT R8 GTR. It's from 2010. 15 years old. I had just gotten my driver's license back then. Of course, I couldn't even imagine driving something like this right away. But this is truly a car that I still brutally remember from back then because it has so many unique features. It boasts a fully redesigned front, featuring an innovative adjustable front splitter integrated into its design. It's truly racing style, allowing you to adjust its length directly on the car, fully customizing it for performance based on your needs. That's something that, of course, isn't really done like that anymore today. Back then, though, it was something really special and cool. What naturally makes this car particularly special is the entire style of the paintwork, or rather, the paint treatment. We've got this authentically brushed metal look here, seamlessly paired with carbon. So it's a fully redesigned hood, which genuinely ensures it delivers such an incredibly unforgettable and strikingly unique look. Plus, a full sport suspension, wheels included. As you see, we've painted the whole car in this finish and added carbon details. That was an incredibly extensive and detailed process to bring it all together like this, and then this counter here is added to it. A really massive rear spoiler. Also this rear hatch. It's not standard in this form, it's been modified as well. Just like the XGT today, directly with a racing latch. It's locked now, but you can already see that was, I think, the first time we really got the R8. Really got hands-on with it, especially at the rear. Come around, let's take a look at it together.
The logos were removed and subtly integrated like this. I think it's a really nice touch, something different for a change, and it adds a unique flair.
Here's carbon at the lower edge of the vehicle paired with diagonally positioned tailpipes for a sleek and dynamic finish. Back then was a time when we did that with a few models. I thought it was truly something cool and quite unique and special. Actually, most recently, at least as far as I noticed, Cupra did it again with the VZ5 in the Formentor.
That's how you saw it, for example.
I think it's cool. I have to say, I really like that about the car. It really has something special, something truly unique. And this particular model stands out as genuinely special and one of a kind. Now I have to mention, there was once another one. But back then, something quite serious actually occurred, specifically during a press drive event. One of our press spokespersons at the time was driving with a journalist. And he lost control of the car on the highway, went off the road, and the entire car burned out. Both didn't come out unscathed, but both made it through. It was a real shock to the company back then, but yes, there were definitely guardian angels watching over them that day, no question about it.
But it's not in that form anymore. So now let's take a closer look at the interior here, everyone, shall we?
Recaro sports seats are installed inside. Take a good look at that. The entire door panel design. Everything carbonized, the entry steps, all meticulously crafted with logos subtly and seamlessly integrated on the entry steps. I have to say, it was definitely a different time. Now, for example, I'm noticing a few things that I'd probably do differently today. I wouldn't arrange the logos in that way or size anymore. Just small things, but every era has its own distinct style, its cars, and all that kind of stuff. Still, it's something special because this is essentially what we now do. With the RS6, RS7, RSQ8, this interior customization existed back then. A lot of this space has been freshly reupholstered with Alcantara. You'll also spot a GTR logo right at the bottom here. So truly something special. Plus, there's also a roll cage in here, really enhancing that authentic racing experience and vibe. It was truly an incredible car, absolutely one of a kind and unforgettable. To give us a sense of it, I'll be honest, I've never actually had the chance to drive it before. I've driven everyone who's here already. That one actually in this form, I don't think I've driven yet. At least I can't remember anymore. Maybe I was 12 years old, just joking. But that's why we're doing this together now, folks, so we can get a feel again for what it was like to drive a car from that era. Hop in the passenger seat and then we'll get going. You get the feeling of driving an Aventador with this gear shifts. Now you can shift like this in a fully sequential manner. Back in my racing days, when it all began, shifting sequentially was the norm. You always had your whole hand ripped open because you were always hacking in and out the gears back then. Though it must be said, it's unusual. It's the opposite of motorsport. Normally, you pull to shift up and push to shift down. Why it's done this way, I can briefly explain. When you give it gas, you're accelerated backward, so it pushes you back, which makes it easier to pull backward than to push forward, because you can kind of take the acceleration with you. When braking, it pushes you forward, and you can kind of use the G-forces to make it easier to shift gears. Here it's the other way around, but well, in a street car, you don't necessarily have to. At the limit here, slamming the gears in, it's actually pretty easy. That's just awesome, man. Now it kicks in when you slam it in, south. Let's power through here with this absolute beast. Nice and high up to 8.5 and then shift into gear. Man, it's so much fun. Seriously, absolutely epic. Still running, so you don't notice much now, maybe a bit sluggish, but it's still holding up fine. But this is really great. I could do it all day long, just zap, 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 ha ha ha. It's been quite a while since I've driven an older car. And thought to myself, wow, this is genuinely so much fun to drive around. Awesome. The soundscape, absolutely epic. And those gear shifts, the way they sound. Incredible vibe. You don't need to say much, just sit back, listen, and really soak it all in. But the power is just like the XGT, right? It's a bit less. But it definitely feels quite different. No comparison to an XGT, but it's good. But for back then, you have to admit, things have really gone up a significant notch since that time. But 15 years ago, he was the boss with the car. I mean, it was really something special. All right, let's jump ahead a bit. By now, all the vehicles are already in the showroom. So this is what it'll look like when you drop in. You can take a closer look at everything here. Upstairs, our motorsport museum. So there's a lot to see, but there's one car I still owe you, and that's our R8 GTS. It's essentially the same body kit as the GTR, just slightly modified. But of course, based on the Spider, and here now in a completely different color combo that's carbon paired with a striking glossy red finish. Mixed. You can see that, for example, this was also the case back then. This is from 2011, and at that time it was a really big trend to make the outlines of the rims colorful. You can see it here in red, like this red logo. I'd probably avoid that now, but it was such a massive trend back in the day. I remember back then I also had a bike, a 125cc, and you'd always paint the outlines on the rims, especially with motorcycles and similar things, in really vibrant colors. You don't see it much these days, but who knows? Maybe it'll make a comeback. After all, anything could happen, really. But this car is absolutely insane. Just take a look at how all of this is styled here. Carbon and the shine, plus these carbon mirrors, which we already see in the GTR and are incredibly compact in size. But for me, the real highlight is actually this entire rear section. Everything is meticulously crafted in carbon, and then you've got these sleek air intakes made in striking red carbon, and also just really, yeah, such a real eye-catcher, you know? It's absolutely stunning. Absolutely a total showstopper, no doubt about it. And then there's this counter. Honestly, I think it's a bit over the top, almost too much to handle. But back then, it was such a car, truly something special, entirely unique in its own way. The whole combination with that rear end and the interior too, you really have to take it all in. Let it sink in properly, you know? There's red carbon integrated here. The steering wheel is made of red carbon. Here too, we've got, like in the GTR, a stunning gear lever, so simply integrated into the interior. I believe it's truly something incredibly special. This vehicle is pretty insane, and it actually sounds exactly identical to the GTR. But in case you've forgotten, I'll quickly show it to you once again. And now we'll take yet another big leap forward straight into the year 2018 as we fully dive into the brand new generation of this incredible vehicle. The Audi R8, or more or less the final version. We don't know for sure yet, but hopefully it's not the end. This one actually remained quite close to the series production model. It only comes with standard alloy wheels fitted. Still, it's a car we have to take a look at because, of course, this is the Spider. Now, I have to mention that the Spider is also available in our version, of course. We've also featured it in several videos. For example, we drove it around Mallorca. Let me show you the car really quick. You're all familiar with the XGT, and we've got it right here with us today. We'll take a closer look at it in just a moment. But if you're curious about where the XGT's design actually originates, this is it. So if you take a closer look at the roof itself, this here is the standard not Spyder roof, and right over here is the Spyder version. This is also the base that was essentially used for the race cars, or more specifically, for the GT2. So as you can see, the rear here is quite flattened, not like the GTS with any add-ons attached, but actually very pure, very sleek and minimalistic. I think the car looks really nice when the roof is down. Personally, I was never much of a fan of this particular part here, to be honest.
It just doesn't look that sexy to me visually. The car looks amazing when the roof is open.
That's, I think, pretty interesting as well. Here we now have a different exhaust tailpipe shape. So visually, that has also transformed. I find it pretty extreme. We'll just show it to you again so you can see how it can change, how such a design evolves, what different concepts one can choose. What was absolutely amazing about this car for the first time, and much better than the rest we've seen so far, is this. Guys, diffuser, you know, there always has to be something solid to grab onto. If you can't just go ahead and do something like that here, it's not the real deal. Not good, it's just something awesome. Full carbon, for me, that's an essential part of what makes a vehicle truly sporty and complete. And here we have it in all its full glory at the start. Now, of course, we'll also take a closer and more detailed look at the interior as well, step by step. So let's step inside here into the interior. Now, what we're seeing here, folks, is exactly what I mentioned earlier. Now, all of a sudden, the steering wheel is what I imagine a steering wheel to be like. Really sporty. Leather, flattened at the bottom, start-stop, drive select, a few buttons over here, a dial, no touchscreen. Absolutely fantastic. So this definitely makes quite an impression. It's a very, very beautiful steering wheel. You'll also get to see it again in a slightly cooler version. But apart from that, take a look at this here, different types of leather. This is directly from Audi. That has nothing to do with us. They offered it directly like that. You could essentially choose from a sort of B-color leather option available here, featuring the Bang & Olufsen sound system, carbon entry sills, and a sleek R8 emblem prominently displayed. Here you can clearly see there's been a massive leap in quality, aesthetics, and design. It's truly on a completely elevated and impressive level. That's a very, very beautiful modern car now, but what we obviously don't have here is the nice manual transmission from over there that's gone. That's now, let's say, a little bit here. Well, it's okay. You can nicely shift into your gear here. What you definitely have to mention, though, is that the car also has a really impressive sound, and that's exactly why I'm starting it up right now. Performance-wise, by the way, we're looking at 540 horsepower here. That's pretty impressive for a Sunday afternoon convertible driver, don't you think? It's not just about cruising in style. It's got the power to match, making it a proper thrill to drive and a real treat for any enthusiast. So, it's awesome. Should we open the convertible again? Come over just to check out the looks. Is it still raining? I didn't even notice. Now, that's a convertible. Absolutely lovely. By the way, we also had this exact same car for Tobias's wedding, if you recall. That was Toby's wedding car. We took a really stylish cruise over to the registry office back in the day. Then he with his wife. This car holds a lot of emotional significance. Very cool indeed. It was absolutely perfect for the wedding back then. We had these beige suits. Fantastic. Truly, truly beautiful. A wonderful day. And now I'll close it again, and then we'll continue. Now we're taking it up a level, and here comes one of my all-time favorite models. Folks, seriously, it's a real standout piece for sure. Because this R8 is genuinely a super intricate, absolutely brilliant vehicle, packed with incredible engineering and design. Now we're here in 2017, so these would actually need to be replaced from the model year. But I actually preferred it this way because I think it creates a nice build-up, a really solid and clear stage of evolution, if you know what I mean. And as mentioned, this convertible is also available with this body kit. You can already see it, the front has been noticeably and strikingly redesigned. This is really a completely new front bumper. It's entirely removed, as you can see, and I'll walk over here once more. This part here, completely around like this. Removed and completely new here on top. with a completely different dynamic at the front, with integrated carbon elements, with a carbon splitter, which is attached again underneath. Personally, I think this look is absolutely incredible and suits the design perfectly. I think it's a really, truly beautiful car. And back then with this vehicle, you had also put in a tremendous effort. What you see here now is a full paint job. I think the ride is still a total blast to this day. It kind of reminds me of that Lambo orange. Of course, not in matte, but Lambo, I think, definitely works a lot with that kind of shade. Really, really cool. I honestly love it. Plus, we've got forged wheels on here. So here as well, suspension, forged wheels, lowered, sporty. That's what really defines an R8. You want to drive an R8, you want to feel something. An R8 has always been a bit too tame, I'd say, especially in its standard factory configuration, at least up to that point. Later on, Audi introduced a few more models that I'll show you all here in just a moment. But back then, it was definitely the case that you had to tweak things a bit. Or at least had the intention to make adjustments. Here's a carbon rear spoiler attached to it, and now, take a close look at this specific detail right here. I really like that too. Here, even the engine has been painted, so the cross brace is color matched, and this part here is also perfectly coordinated. I think that's a really awesome detail, I have to say. It would actually be cool if some manufacturers today could still do that, because especially when you look at it from the back, it's truly something very special. And then that rear end on top of it, you've got to admit, it's heavily inspired by the race car design, which really makes it stand out. So if you take a look at the R8 GT3, you'll notice that the rear is a bit wider, a bit more boxy. And that specific look was something we aimed to adopt back then, so we adapted it accordingly. Along with that, carbon-framed exhaust tips, and also this blade design at the bottom, which transitions into the diffuser, giving it a slightly wider appearance on the sides. That too is truly an absolute highlight. And just like that, the interior of this car has turned out really beautiful as well. I'll hop in, but you can probably tell at first glance, we've used a lot of Alcantara here, red decorative stitching, and here again, leather trimmed in red to make sure the entire design feels perfectly harmonious. And I absolutely love this steering wheel. It's pretty much a dream steering wheel, I have to say, and it feels just perfect. Feel free to share how you see it, but this is the kind of steering wheel you could still put in any RS3 or whatever today, and everyone would say, awesome, carbon on it, that's such a big thing. I would absolutely love to do that on every steering wheel today, guys. No doubt. But nowadays, you've got hands-on detection integrated in here, along with all sorts of advanced assistance systems. And then none of it works, and you keep getting error messages all the time. That's the reason why it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to implement something like that. Back then it worked because it was purely there for steering purposes and not for driving itself, however you want to look at it. Everything else, completely covered in Alcantara. You can see it here. We already referred to the whole setup as ABT individual. Back in those days, you know, it was quite something. It's been around for quite some time. We just paused it for a while, but in recent years, you've seen it. We've revived it and brought it back to life. We're really pushing it hard and have created some beautiful, very eye-catching color variants. Here are the sports seats that come with it, showcasing a sleek and premium design featuring leather and Alcantara stitching throughout. And then I'd say, let's listen to it. The sound of this car is sheer, raw, and exhilarating power. It's an absolutely unique and special car, truly one of a kind. Absolutely amazing. I like it extremely much. And now, finally, we come to the last one in our lineup today. This is a car. I believe I don't need to say much more about it. Most of you, I would assume, know it, but I think it fits perfectly here. It truly demonstrates, when you take a more detailed look at everything, how this entire theme has evolved and what various types of cars exist based on a similar or identical platform. Of course, these are all road cars designed with a racing feel. This one, however, is a race car built with a road feel. And I think you've seen it now. JP, for example, also featured it in his video, and I think he was thrilled. But it was also clear this is a car where you have to stay focused, put in the effort, do it really, really well, and keep it firmly and consistently under control. Let's take a quick look at the interior here because I think it really highlights the contrast. And you can see even more clearly now what the differences are here. So, the seats. The entire look and feel in here is pure motorsport atmosphere. Everything is stripped back. I think this is a nice spec now because you can finally see a bit of contrast color here. The cage is painted in red, the few details in the interior. I have to say I like it very, very much. The red rims aren't really my thing, but with the cage and everything else, it's absolutely awesome. The stitching in the seat too. It really makes for a whole lot of driving enjoyment. I just want to briefly touch on that because I saw it in JP's video. There, someone kind of took a closer look at the seat and mentioned it's not perfectly crafted and so on. That was a prototype. It was our very first one. This here is what it looks like when it's delivered. The seat is, of course, much, much higher quality. Also the cage, the paintwork and so on. But the car in JP's video is simply a regular car. It's seen plenty. It goes from A to B. Still, I think it was a great performance and really nice feedback. It made me incredibly happy that someone neutral managed to convey those emotions so effectively once again, which was truly special, that this car conveys. It's the absolute pinnacle of engineering and design. It's something, I believe, that will never exist again in this precise, extraordinary form. And as a company, I think we're truly proud that we've made it happen. It's an absolute pilot project, and I can say that much. We've got 1 or 2 more great ideas up our sleeve that might head in a similar direction, so keep an eye out for those updates. A little bit. Definitely stay tuned for it. Yes, guys, that was our R8 highlight video today.